get a touch, right? Like, comment, like, yeah. But it's a great way to stay in touch with people.
Yeah.
And then, absolutely, add someone on Facebook, and then, strategically, my Facebook page is 90% my life and 10% real estate. I'll sprinkle it in here or there, let people know I'm in business, what I'm doing, throw a big listing out there, whatever.
Yeah.
But the open house 1 to 4 Sunday, come by and check me out. 4 likes, no comments, like bad post.
I feel like you gotta go ahead and build rapport with the people that are out there. So it's the stuff that they like, family. Like if you're drowning them with real estate stuff, they're just gonna tune out. It's just kind of
cheesy. It sucks.
Yeah,
no one cares about your open house. Like they're not buying it. They're not coming by. Like it's not of value, in my opinion, right? But saying, a story, who does a great job in our area, in my opinion, is Ryan Melcher. Like a perfect example is Ryan did a new development on Casanova.
Yeah.
And he sold it day one, 3.2 million.
Sure.
He did it himself, and he was very successful in that. He posted about the sale, so he's like, hey, I'm in real estate, I did this development, crushed it and sold it in day one, so I can build it and I can sell it, right?
Yeah.
Pretty powerful. But the delivery and the message was how proud he was of the accomplishment of developing that property and things that have transpired in his life for him to be able to get there, how hard he's worked to be able to get to that opportunity to do that, and how rewarding it was, and thanking people for their support, right, and encouragement to do something like that, right? It's not like sold this $8 million house and everyone pulls out their phone and go, that dick just made $200,000, like, and he's rubbing it in my face, right? Like instead, Ryan was like, hey, I've had a lot of crap happen to me as a kid. I've had a lot of crap happen to me as an adult. A lot of people have tried to beat me down, but I said I was going to do this. I did it. I crushed it. Thanks for the support. 300, 400
they
likes,
call you guys.
80 comments. He let everyone know he's in business. He let everyone know he can sell luxury. He let everyone know he's good at what he does without saying it. Right?
That's awesome.
That's pretty powerful.
Yeah. So being that social media is a good way to go ahead and keep in touch. I know that's not all your business. You have.
I've gotten zero business from Facebook.
Yeah.
Everyone that calls you, hey, Facebook ads, it's garbage, in my opinion.
Yeah. I haven't got anything from the Facebook ads.
It's a way for me, in my opinion, it's a way to stay in touch with clients.
To be
or past clients.
So when you're coming on up, did you have $1 million deals right off the bat, or was it just
first one?
Oh damn!
First one. 2 weeks in the business, $9.99. Knocked on a door, expired listing.
Wait, before. What got you to go ahead and knock on that door?
Okay, so
like what was it?
Well, here's what happened. I just got in the business. My wife is in a Facebook group, WAGs, Wives and Girlfriends of Major League Baseball.
Yeah.
David Wells, former pitcher for the Yankees, a big fat dude who threw a perfect game, right? His wife's posting all this stuff for sale in the group. And I'm like, shit, that's David Wells' wife, Nina Wells, right?
Yeah.
And Ashley was pregnant and she was selling baby clothes. And Ashley showed me the thing and was like, what do you think about these, blah, blah. And I noticed that Nina Wells was an agent with Keller Williams in San Diego. And I was like, bing. So I'm like, give me a phone. So I wrote a message to her and I said, hey, my husband just retired from baseball. We're having a baby. We're really nervous about financing because he's becoming a real estate agent. It's a whole new endeavor. Would you take $40 for the clothes instead of 50? Something like that.
Yeah.
And she was like, real estate? Oh my God, me too. And who's he with? Oh, he's with Keller Williams. Oh my God, me too. And it was just and it was perfect, right?
Yeah.
She goes, I'm going to hook him up with Jason Abrams, who's one of the top Keller Williams agents in the country, and he's in 4 states, and he's a coach, and blah, 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 blah. So she got me this 2-hour coaching session for free. My first week in the business, right?
Yeah.
And so I took advantage of it. I reached out to him, or she connected us on email.
Yeah.
I followed up with the guy, hunted him down, and he gave me 3 hours. And he talked about 4 different pillars of business when you first start. One being expired and canceled, one being doing a newsletter, one being attacking like estate and trust attorneys and like people in other professions that can do real estate, blah blah blah. So I really latched onto the expired thing, and yeah, I just asked him. He was like, "Well, you know how to look up expireds on MLS," and I was like, "Oh yeah, no clue." I was like, "Oh yeah, whatever." And so it was like 2-hour conversation. He basically told me how to approach that. So I went on tour the next day. Toured a funky Big Sur looking property in downtown Carmel, and thought it was a cool house, but I was brand new and I was like, this thing's overpriced. Like I knew it was overpriced.
Yeah.
It expired a week later, and so I was like, screw it. I'm gonna go knock on this door. I'm gonna write her a letter. I'm gonna bring her information about who I am and my family and this and that. I mean, I wish I still had that packet because it was so amateur, but it was like so bad. But
apparently it worked.
Yeah. So I knocked on the door and we talked, and she was like, I thought it was like going great. And then she goes, well, we just signed an extension with our agent. And I said, no problem. She's like, it's only 3 months though. Like keep an eye on it. We're coming back at the same price. Blah 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 blah. So it expired the next morning. So it went active that afternoon. I was like, okay. And then it expired the next morning. And so I went back.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, your house is expired again. She's like, no, we relisted it. I said, and I showed her. I said, it's expired. Like it's not exposed. Like she entered the dates wrong or something happened. It's expired. And she was like, huh, interesting. And she was kind of frustrated. Then it went back active that afternoon. 2 days later, it went expired again. And I was like, why not? Like I'm pot committed. I went back again, and this time she was pissed off.
Yeah.
And I was like, I blew it. Like, but she wasn't mad at me. She was mad at the situation, right?
Yeah.
So a week later, her sister called me. It was a trust sale. They inherited the property. The sister from LA called me, and she's like, we want you to come over and give us a presentation on how you can sell our house. And I was like, shit. Like what do I do?
Yeah.
Right? So I called. I'm 2 weeks in. 2 weeks. Go ahead.
Before you went up there, did you have any scripts or what did you do?
Nothing.
Nothing. Just.
Hey, I saw your house last week. Thought it was pretty cool. Think it's overpriced. Saw it expired. Wondering if you wanted a new agent. Here's who I am. Here's what I'm about. Here's my history. That was it.
So now you're getting ready to go ahead and do the presentation, and
so I called Mark.
Yeah.
Because I was like, what do I do? And he was like, I'll come down. So did the presentation. He brought everything. I didn't say a word. And they're like, okay, cool. Like, and Mark killed it. Like, he's good, he's good at it. And they're like, cool. So what does he do? And so he handled it perfectly. He goes, well, you guys are in a really cool opportunity situation right here. And they said, opportunistic situation. And they said, well, what's that? And they said, this is the first time Pete's ever sold a house, and you get to be a part of that process. And it's really special when someone gets to sell their first house. And they were like, oh my God, how amazing. Like, it could have gone to Get Out or, yeah. And so Mark was like, I'll be with them every step of the way, but you're in great hands, blah, blah, blah. So they signed a listing agreement, and they agreed to list for $999, which was the right price. And they were at $1,295,000 before. And Mark said that, I was like, crap, like, we just lost this. He's like, you need to get $999.
Yeah.
And they were like, okay, like, we trust you. Like, that sounds about right. And he's like, here's your comps, here's why, here's this, here's that, this is dated, blah, 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 blah. And they listed.
So with expireds, I always thought like, okay, the biggest problem is that they're overpriced.
Yeah.
So how do you bring them back to reality without having them just, kick you out of the house?
I make them sell something overpriced to me.
Ooh.
Right?
Okay.
So pick any consumer product. Red Bull. How much is Red Bull at a gas station?
It is about $3.99.
Okay, sell me one for $8.
It gives you wings.
Right? It's a tough deal.
Yeah.
That was a good answer. But it's a tough gig, right?
Oh, yeah.
Hey, I'll put out the best marketing possible for that. And so reverse the scripts again. Okay, sell me that. So market value for that's $3.99.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe $4.50 if you're in a pinch somewhere in the middle of nowhere. Okay, great. I want to sell my Red Bull for $7. And I want you to put out all the newspaper ads, all the magazine ads. Just market it. If you market it, you'll be able to sell it. No problem, right? It's just marketing.
Supply and demand.
Right? There's a market value for that. You're not going to get $7 for it.
So you're handling that objection.
So that's step one, right? Now how do you handle the back end? Data. Show them the data. You cannot argue with facts, right?
Yeah.
Well, that one's listed. I don't care what it's listed. I could list my house for $1 billion. There's no rule against a listing price. What's sold? A sold is a comp. A sold property is an exchange. That's data. That's usable. That's feasible, right? So give me data. And that's when I go, so here's the data, right? Here is the data. And so again, it's a combination of marketing, but the biggest piece of the pie is good pricing. You have to price it right.
So then I'm guessing that the next thing they'll probably hit you with is probably a reduction in commission.
Right, and then I go into the script about that of here's why that won't happen. The more money you take out of my pocket, the less money that I'm going to spend to market your home. The less effort I'm going to put into marketing your home. Right, you're unincentivizing me from the beginning to sell your home. Okay. Number two, we have to offer out a minimum of 2.5%. If you offer less, agents are going to steer. They're not supposed to, but they will. It's a reality. You are subsidizing the industry. Period.
Okay. So then after that, I'm guessing the next step is to go ahead and sign. Right?
Well, it's a process, right? Like, so again, the more value that you bring to them, the easier the conversation is. So here's the other thing that I do with pricing. I love to place blame, and here's how you do that, right? This is the beauty of coming in second or sometimes third, right? Let's say you expired at 2,195 and I think you should get 1,995 and we're going through this conversation, blah, blah, blah. Great, Sergio, who priced the house at 2,195? You or your agent, your previous representation? I'm asking you, who did?
I suggested the agent put it up at that price.
Okay, here's why that's a problem, and this is no offense to you or no disrespect to you, but a real true real estate agent is your actual representative is going to tell you what the price should be. They should never let you dictate what the price is. Not that you're not knowledgeable or not that you don't know the area, but I have access to way more data than you do. I have more market knowledge than you do and more experience in selling properties in this price range, in this location than you do. Can we agree on that?
Yeah. So
by them allowing you to price your own property is misrepresentation, in my opinion, from step one. From day one, step one, they failed you. Do you see how I've led that up now? Like, yeah, it's their fault.
And you're not telling
it's their fault for letting you price.
You're not telling them, you're asking the question. You're letting them get to the answer.
And I'm being honest. Letting clients price their home because what they feel like, that's not representing someone. You're not doing your job.
Yeah.
Right? As a fiduciary, your job is to protect them and get them high. In fact, you're hindering them because by allowing them to list their property at a price that's unsellable and accumulating 6 months on the market, you've actually damaged the value of their property.
Yeah.
Because now data is rampant, right? Oh, they listed it once before. Why is it not selling? What's the problem? I'm not paying that for that. No one else is. So you can see how listing expiring is damaging to the value of the home. So if you answer the question the other way, well, my real estate agent priced it. Great. Do you have their CMA? Do you have the comps that they use? And most of the time they will, or they won't. And I'll say, well, here's why they're wrong. Here are the real comps. Here's what should have been used.
Yeah.
So it's a very simple question that's extremely powerful. It's either both times it's kind of their fault, but it's either it's their fault for letting you do it, or I priced it if they want to, well, you're an idiot for doing that. Show me your credentials that I get it that you're entitled to own your property, but what have you sold? What market knowledge do you have? Show me the data that you use. Do not talk to me about Zillow. What are your real comps, right? And again, if they go, well, I just thought that was the right price, and my agent agreed and said, sure, no problem. And then I'll spin into it too. Well, they took that listing that's overpriced because they're not a producing agent. They're more fearful of losing a listing than sticking a sign in the ground and actually damaging the reputation even further by not selling your home.
Yeah.
Right?
So do you ever find, has there ever been a case where some of the other top agents, they just took the listing just to go ahead and take the listing? So
I love those guys.
So how do you
love them?
So with them,
I'm number one fan.
So with them, I'm guessing just because you can't really use the top of the not producing agent, you have to hit them back with well, they're not doing their fiduciary duty, right?
That's why they didn't sell your house.
Yeah.
Period. right? And that's true. When you start getting up at the higher echelons, the pond and pool of buyers gets very thin. They're tough to sell. I don't really like having $5+ million. They're great when they sell, but typically the clients are very, 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 very needy. They expect the moon. They expect you to put them in every magazine and every newspaper. I mean, they want you to spend lots of money. And I get it because the commission check is big.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of risk involved with that because you're coming out of pocket with a lot of cake. And if you don't sell it, sorry, tough luck, and they don't care. So I'll usually, if I have a seller that's not being reasonable on price, like I had this conversation with a guy today, he was like, I want a 90-day listing agreement, and I want the price to be this, and I want that. And I go, great. If it doesn't sell, then you reimburse me for all marketing expenses. Mm. If we're going to price it at your price, and we're gonna price it at arguably average days on market for your price point and your location, which again I think is overpriced, then yeah, reimburse me for the marketing. I will happily put my sign in the ground, roll out the red carpet on all the tech marketing we do, the websites, the videos, the photos, everything. But if it doesn't sell at your price, then pay me back. Right? Yeah. Now they got a decision to make. And if they tell me to pound salt, great. I don't care. I'll talk to you in 3 months when some other schmuck takes it and doesn't sell it. 2, you're going to reduce the price and not want to put yourself on the hook. Yeah. And you're going to list at the price I know I can sell it at. Or 3, you agree to pay the marketing. What do I have to lose? Maybe I get a buyer and a listing. That's how I approach it. Yeah.
So you're doing the expires. So you got your first deal like within 2 weeks. What else were you doing?
Well, so that spiraled into me doing an open house and a gentleman walking in who's infamous.
So for the open house, do you have a script for that? Like, do you have a process? Like,
I'm 2 weeks in, dude. I didn't even know what I was doing. I probably didn't even have sandwich signs out. I was probably just sitting there like, okay, open house. I mean, I honestly, I'm just so green. I think I had a couple open house signs. I don't even know if I don't remember. But this is how bad it was. Guy walks in. He goes, I need to do a 1031 exchange. I got cash. I got cash burning in the whole of my pocket, and I really like this house. Cool. Don't know what that is. So, right? I'm like, sweet. Sounds cool, man. Yeah. And glad you have a bunch of money. And we talked. He walked. He's like, I really like this house. I went sat in the corner, fell asleep for 20 minutes. I'm just sitting there just going, I'm like, whatever. And I was watching football on my iPad. It was a Sunday. I was like, all right, whatever. He woke up. He's like, oh my God, did I fall asleep? I was like, yeah. I was like, don't worry about it. And he was like, all right, well, I'll see you later. And I was like, okay, bye. Didn't get his name, didn't get his information, did nothing, right? 1031 cash buyer, time sensitive, and I'm just like... So he ended up calling me a week later. It went into escrow. And it fell out. And he called me. He's like, I should have bought that house, and I saw it. Is it available? And I was like, yeah. And he goes, okay, I want to buy it. $950 is my offer, all cash, 14-day close, no inspections, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, cool, have your agent send it over. He's like, I don't have one, you're my agent. And I was like, awesome. So called Mark's assistant. I'm like, hey, that listing I have, this guy wants to buy it in cash. Like, what do I do? She's like, well, you write an offer. I'm like, great, how do I do that? So she did the whole thing, we did the deal, he bought it. And so during that, this is where I have a little savvy and I'm not completely dumb and lucky, right? I meet him to sign the documents. He's old school, won't use DocuSign. Every time I meet him, he's exhausted, pissed off, grouchy, older guy. Mm-hmm. And just miserable, just a miserable human being. And I'm like, I just one day he sits down and I go, why are you so angry all the time? And he takes his hat, you want to know why? You really want to know why? And I'm like, I guess. And he just starts rambling. He's like, I have this listing over here that someone stiffed me on, and I tried to show this person a rental and they didn't show up, and then I got a lowball offer on this. And I'm like, what do you mean you have listings? He's like, I always buy through the listing agent and I always list for sale by owner. Mm-hmm. And I was like, wow, that sounds pretty tough. I go, so why do you list for sale by owner? And he's like, commission. I hate commission. You guys are all criminals. Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay. And so I thought about it. And so the next time we met, I hit him right in the teeth with not physically, but just like with a question. Wake up! With a question that he didn't know how to answer, right? Yeah. I go, he again shows up, out of breath, tired, pissed off. I go, Bill, what are you worth an hour? What kind of stupid ass question is that? What kind of stupid ass question is that? I go, it's not a stupid question, it's very relevant. What are you worth an hour?
Yeah.
I don't know. And I said, he goes, I buy and sell real estate. How am I supposed to know that? I go, let's do me a favor, figure it out and let me know. He's like, what's the point? I go, just do me a favor, figure out what you're worth an hour, and let me know. So he called me the next day. I answered the phone. I'm like, hey, Bill. He doesn't say a word. He goes, $498. And I go, what? He's like, $498 an hour. There's your answer. That's what I'm worth. And I go, okay, thanks. And so I hung up, and I looked at one of his listings, and I did the math. It was about a $20,000 commission, and I assumed about 80 hours, 100 hours for, and so it factored out to about $200 to $250 an hour. And I was like, I called him back and I said, so I got a proposition for you. And he's like, what's that? And I said, well, I only cost $250 an hour. You're $480 an hour. Why don't I sell the houses that you have listed for you? Mm-hmm. And I'll pay for all the marketing and I'll get them sold. And he just didn't know what to say. He was just like, wow. And he wanted to say something bad. He's like, I have to go, and hung up. And so I hunted him down for 3 days. 3 days.
Don't follow you.
3 days. And I go, tell me that I'm wrong. Tell me that it's worth your time to run all over the county to try to sell your own stuff. You're failing at doing it. You're only on Craigslist. Yeah. Your photos suck. And how much is it costing you to hold those properties? Because he had hard money on some of them. Yeah. And so he figured that out, and it came out to another $300 or something, and it was nice. And so, per hour basically is what we figured out. And I'm like, so it really costs you $700 an hour to try to sell your own property when you could hire me for $250. And he was finally like, fine, you win. And I got 3 listings that day. He was just like, here we go. And so then I hustled. Yeah. Then it was Friday, Saturday, Sunday open houses, 10 to noon, 1 to 3, 3 to 5. I mean,
wow. Okay, so you had different open
houses. Oh, dude, I was grinding. I'm sweating, running back and forth, going from this one to that one, to this one to that one. But I plucked, 5 or 6 buyers. I got another listing, and from there it was just boom. But that was the start.
Well, what's funny about this business is like this is the only job in the world where someone has to tell you to go work.
Yeah. Right.
Where in reality you have like you said, you can make as much money as you want. There's no ceiling. But I mean, Mark was over here, I think, on Monday, and is all like, look, you guys need to go ahead and time block. Don't go anything crazy. Don't go too much and do like 40 hours per week. I was like, that's normal. That's like every Joe Blow, that's like a normal day.
What do I do a week? What do you think?
9 to 5.
80 hours?
Yes.
I probably work 80 hours a week.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense. So,
and I'm not kidding.
No.
And that's that's weekends. Agree. That's weekends too.
Yeah.
I mean,
almost as much as me.
So
great.
So what are you worth an hour?
It's a lifestyle choice. I choose to do that.
That's what I feel like. You're not new, but I feel like in our career, like in a salesperson career, it's like you're on 24/7.
If you want to be successful,
you are your job. Like the time that you try to go ahead and turn it off, I think that's kind of like where you find a little bit of difficulties.
Well, yeah, and it's like it's the paycheck is a byproduct.
Yeah,
it's a byproduct, right? Mm-hmm. The true commission, in my opinion, is successfully selling or helping someone buy a home or invest in a piece of property. Because if you do it right, and no matter how difficult they are, I've made a very good living by being able to handle the most difficult people in the world. Mm-hmm. That guy, Bill, who I was talking about, brutal. And we've gone into it where we didn't talk for 3 months. But I can handle him. I can handle when he says something that's really cut and dry or brutal, just rude, whatever. And it's whatever, like whatever. So I feel like I have an ability to put the blinders on, like I talked about, and focus on what the goal is. And at the end of the day, no matter how difficult he was during the transaction, when he got paid and he made money, or he got the property that he wanted at the price he wanted, never complained. And he kept coming back every single time.
So one of the questions, so dealing with all those difficult clients, one of the questions I always ask the other top agents is how do you go ahead and deal with stress? Like almost what I found out from all the questions that we've been doing is they all do some kind of self-care, like whether it's like Kimberly Flores runs every day. Mark Van Keenel works out in the morning. Is there any certain things that you do to kind of go ahead and?
It fuels me. I like it. I act better and perform better under stress. That's what my previous job was. That's what this job is. At the volume that I do it at. I'm sick, dude. I like it. I don't know why. Like, I'm a weirdo. I'm a weirdo like that. But that's why I produce what I produce. Where other people are like, oh, I need to do this, or I'm gonna, I made a big sale. I'm gonna go on vacation.
Oh, so that goes into the next. Okay, so after a sale, so you go ahead and close a big sale or close any sale. Do you already know right off the bat, it's like X amount's going to go into marketing, X amount's going to go into like
our burn rate's about $13,000 a month.
So
to run my business.
How do you go when you're starting out? Like how are you running your books, or like what advice can you give people? Like do you hire someone? Do you have like Excel spreadsheets? Like how do you be a better business person?
No, I reinvested into things that I felt were going to give me more business, and then I tracked it, right? So I first started, the first investment I made into any kind of marketing or lead gen stuff was I bought the Salinas zip code 93901 on Zillow. It was $176 a month.
You killed it. I remember you did.
That was a big deal. That was a big deal. And some doctor from New York inquired about a property and ended up buying a $1.5 million house in Monterey. And so I took that money and I was like, okay, that cost me $600 by the time it was all said and done, and I just got paid $30,000. I'm gonna go reinvest in that. And so I increased my spend and got me more business. So again, I pencil things out. I'm a big believer in forecasting, right? Big believer in that. I try to look out 12 months. So like when I hire someone, when I increase advertising spend, why am I doing it? Number one. So Nikki Benucci and I had this conversation. Well, I was listening, we didn't really have a conversation, but she's like, yeah, I have an assistant for my real estate. She's great. She gets my dry cleaning, she does this, she does that. And I'm like, that's a personal assistant. Like that's not an assistant that's gonna help grow your business. Why are you paying someone to do? I get it if it's freeing up your time from doing those other things, but it should be, in my opinion, hire an assistant for your business and go pick up your own dry cleaning late at night, or go get your own groceries at find time to do that later. Strategically work with that person to grow your business, right? They should be taking tasks off your plate so that you can continue to expand. So again, I'm all about projections and forecasting. So like if I buy a zip code on Zillow, for example, I'm penciling it out for the year. Okay, I'm investing, I think I pay like $3,000 a month or $3,500 a month for Monterey. So okay, I'm investing $42,000 a year into that zip code. What's the average price point in there? $700,000. What's the average commission? $21,000 gross. So I got to do 2 deals to be net cash flow positive in a year. If I can't do that, go do something else. It pencils. Right? And then I reevaluate. And
when do you reevaluate? Like how often?
Quarterly.
Okay.
You know, where are we at? I mean, I think we're cash flow positive from Zillow already for the year, very close to it.
Oh wow.
So, but I mean, I spend a lot. You know, it's $10,000 a month spend. It's a big nut to crack. But again, I've penciled it to, we're in a position now where we can service that kind of volume.
Yeah.
We have agents that can handle that. I couldn't go by myself.
So when you were starting out, you know how most realtors have the peak and valleys? So you
Sure.
you get the deal,
Yeah.
and then assume you work hard to get the deal, you get the deal, and then you go down to the valley because you're spending the time servicing the deal instead of getting lead gen.
Yep.
How did you overcome that?
That's a big critical step in the process and growth, right? And it's you have to go through that cycle once to realize how crappy it
It
is.
sucks.
I got 3 escrows. I'm the man.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you're counting your check. I got 60 G's coming. I'm good. Blah,
Yeah.
blah, 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 blah. 1 closes. All right, now I'm down to 2. I'm still good. Another closes. Okay, I got 1 left and it closes next week. What else do I have? Close. I have nothing.
Mm-hmm.
3 months, 4 months, ramp up here.
Oh yeah.
So you have to go through that cycle once to realize that feast and famine and how crappy it is.
Yeah.
And number 2 is hire someone that's better than you to do the tasks of escrow management or whatever it is. I'm not the best. I mean, I know contracts, I know how to negotiate, but like organizing disclosures and like I don't want to do that. It's not my forte.
Mm-hmm.
Pay someone well to do it better than you can do it.
So do you go to? So one of the things that Joel Stieber mentioned, that I thought was pretty interesting, is he doesn't go to any of the inspections. Do you go to those or
No.
no?
I rarely don't, unless I have a client who's like really on edge. Who's like, I really want you to be there.
Yeah.
I've done it enough to know, and I'm savvy enough to know when I see something in a report,
Like I know how to
that's
read
a
a
red
report.
flag. Yeah, I know how to read a report. You know,
Yeah.
so I'll send the client. If they're nervous, I'll say, hey, you have the opportunity to go if you'd like, and
Yeah.
walk with the inspector, and also I don't want to get too involved in the inspection process because that's not my job, right? My job is to schedule the inspection, review the inspection for anything that I consider major, and then delegate to an expert
Yeah.
who can further elaborate on what a problem might be. The more you engage and involve yourself in that and open your mouth, if you will, you're putting a bullseye on your back of, well, you told me this and it's not a big deal, and it is a big deal. Just don't put yourself in that position, right? Like your job is to give that client the report, and it's their job to investigate what's in that report and ask questions, and then it's your job to service them with the right people on the questions that they have. So I think the more you involve yourself in inspections and things like that, the more liability you're opening yourself up to.
That's true. I know you.
We're good.
Okay. I want to open it up because I also want to keep on talking. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to shoot.
What's your favorite price point?
Whatever is transactional, so it's loaded, right? So like Seaside, my favorite price point. If I'm in Seaside Highlands, $8.95, right? Like boom. He'll attest to that. Like high 8s, low 9s, like boom, 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 boom.
Right.
Seaside proper, like 600. Monterey, $895, $1 million. Carmel, if I'm in the rectangle, $1,400 a foot or less. Pebble, depending where I am, anywhere between 1.9 to 4. It
Just what moves?
what's transactional, right? And
Yes.
and again, it's not about, and people say, well, you just want to price my house to move it. Well, yeah, I mean, don't we want to move it? Like, isn't that we're selling it, right? And I tell people too, I'm like, what's the worst case scenario if I'm wrong and we're underpriced? What's the worst case scenario? We're going to get a bidding war.
It won't go up.
Well, that is the
The market
worst
will correct
case
itself.
scenario. Yeah, I had a battle. I got one on Hidden Mesa. I'm the 8th listing agent. 8th time. Guy's listed his house 7 times previously for 6 years. Always at $3 million or more. 4 appointments, 3 appointments. I was trying to be like, go away. I do not want to work with you. Not because you're a bad human. You're delusional. You're not listening. And so finally, the 3rd appointment, I printed out every MLS. Every time that I literally, while I was talking, I forget what we were saying, but I was like, I had them all right here, and I was like, you have listed your house 7 times on the market. I'm not done. You have been wrong 7 times on the market. I'm not going to be number 8. I'm not going to do it. And I literally slipped, and the wife, and they're French and they're great people, and the wife's like, I'm beginning to not like you. And I said, well, it's mutual. And so we were kidding, but he's like, okay, what's the price need to be? I said, you need to be at 2,989. That's where you need to be. That is the price. You need to be under 3. We still might be over. Blah, 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 blah. So after
$11,000.
right? After arm wrestling with this guy, they expired at 3,145 or something like that. Arm wrestling, he finally listened. We got 2 offers inside of 10 days. We just went into contract like an eyelash, and I mean an eyelash under full load on that thing. And he was just like, wow, like I guess you're right. And I said it's a combination. You have to have killer marketing, but you have to have the right price. Now it's value, right? Now it's a value. Oh, it's under $3 million. There's a lot of psychology in our business.
Yep.
A lot of it, right? 2,989 is not 3 million. And for some people, and there's a lot of people that came through, I've been watching this house for years, waiting for the price to get realistic. And we ended up getting 2 offers, and one was cash, and so I got to leverage, and we all like right under full boat. And they're just like doing cartwheels. They're like, we can't believe it, blah, blah, blah. It's pricing. It's not rocket science. It's not magic, right? So going back to what you said though about what price point I like to be transactional. I like any price point that's transactional, and I like any price point that's justifiable with data, because I know that it's going to sell. You know.
Pete, explain to me the I don't exist until I know it. I don't exist until 11 o'clock or 12.
That's the whole thing of the peak and valley of doing business and then not. It's you have to learn. This came from Craig Rieger, actually. I heard him say that he did 90 listings in 90 days, and they did like 82 in 90 days. He almost hit the 90. And he said he got fired because he didn't put out. He completely didn't put one of the listings on MLS.
Right, and broke his systems. I remember that interview. He said, I wasn't ready for it.
And they really set out to get 90 listings in 90 days, and they got 80 plus. And one of the guys was like strategically underpriced to get a bidding war, and it was like 8 days that it was supposedly on the market. And he calls me, he's like, why do I not have an offer? You haven't been, why didn't we do an open house? What the hell's the problem? And Craig like went back and he's like, oh my God, we didn't list this guy's house. And he was like, so he called him back and he was like, yeah, you can come pick up your stuff. Craig was like, yeah, I deserve that. But Craig was saying in that process that it was a big learning curve for him. You have that escrow, right?
Yeah.
That's the nugget of gold. Like you've worked so hard, you've beat on doors, you've called, you got a deal, and you got it in contract. That's the payday, right? So everyone wants to nurture that, baby that, protect that. Your clients are fine until 11 o'clock. They're fine. If they call you at 9:30 and you don't get back to them until 11:30, they're fine. They are fine. And honestly, the busier that I've gotten, it's given me more clout with my clients. Because it's almost shifted from, like, you've been in a listing appointment, we all probably have, where someone's like, well, I'll give you my listing. Shut up. Like, how people, like, you know what I mean? Like that, but that's my mentality. And I don't say that, but it's like, please don't talk to me like you're doing me a favor. Like, this is a team effort. We need to work together. We need to be on the same page. I'm just as fortunate to have you, and you're just as fortunate to have me. And I'm busy as all hell. So if this is going to be a, you know, you need me, and I'm going to run the show, and this and that, it's like, no, like, that's not going to happen. So, I talk to clients and I'm like, hey, I know you're super busy. Thanks for calling me back. Right? I mean, I'm very prompt. I get back to people within a time of a minute. But you've got to understand that the world isn't going to end. Their house isn't going to light on fire. They're not going to fire you. They can't fire you if they call you at 9 or 8 or 7 and you don't get back to them until 11.
So there's this really interesting thing that I was watching. I can't remember what book it was, but it was talking about the science of rapport, and also like showing up. So like like you got the whole, like you're wearing the suit, you look professional. I feel like that plays a big part of it too, where it's bringing respect to yourself and letting them know that, you know, they're working with a professional. And also the time blocking, like where their whole thing is, oh, I'm giving this, and like, no. You know, I pull in about $250 an hour. You know, if anything, you should be happy. You should be happy.
Yeah.
That you got a professional.
And you got to do it. You got to do it in a tasteful way, but standing your ground. So you're essentially negotiating with the seller up front.
Yeah.
That's what you're doing. You're negotiating with them up front. So I look at it like when you stand your ground, you have your data and your facts, and let's say it comes to a head, right? Like it gets a little heated, a little emotional, whatever. I always round it out with, look, again, we're on a team here, but do you see how this process is going right now? I'm polished, I'm professional, I know what I'm talking about, I have the data to back it up. Imagine how I'm going to negotiate before you on your behalf when some idiot buyer and their agent comes to us trying to lowball us or whatever it is. Or, you know, how do you think I'm going to negotiate on your behalf even if we get a strong offer with the terms and the process? I'm going to run a tight ship, I'm going to be professional, I'm going to know what I'm talking about, and it's going to be a good deal for you. You want me on your side. And they're like, never thought of it that way, right? That's one way to handle it. The attire, why run the risk of losing a deal because you're not dressed the right way?
Yeah.
You better, if you're gonna show or sell a certain dollar amount of property, you better look like you can afford it and that you can afford 10 times it. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I drive a very expensive car. And that was one of the first things I got in the business, not because I wanted to be an idiot and, oh, I can afford this flashy car. I bought it because I knew that I wanted to continue to climb the ladder in dollar amount, right? Like, don't we want to do less deals for more money? It's the same amount of work. $100,000, you know, condo is the same as $100 million single family residence. It's the same amount of work. Do a higher dollar amount, yield more money for your time. So I strategically invested in my attire and what I drive and because I get a call on a Sunday, hey, we're in Pebble Beach from Texas, we leave in 2 hours, can you come show us this $6 million house? Sure. Suit, really nice car, on time, ready to go, boom, 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 never seen that house, but acted like I've shown it 500 times before, it wasn't my listing. Cash, sold, 21 days, see you later, thank you very much. And they're awesome friends now too. But if I show up like a slap on a Sunday, like, whoa, you know,
yeah,
you get one shot with people like that. You get one shot, one first impression. So, again,
gotta show up ready to play.
or if I'm gonna compete against the listing, like a lot of the higher top listing agents in the area, like I had a meeting with one the other day at a property that we're doing a deal. Oh, he said some comment. Well, you don't always have to dress up for me. And I just chuckled to myself. I go, yeah, because I'm gonna kick your ass in a listing appointment when you show up in your stupid little golf sweater and your jeans. I'm going to kick your ass. Like, make fun of me that I'm wearing a suit. I love it because the client that we're going to be competing for is going to love this and hate that.
Well, not only that too, like, you know the show $1 Million Listing Agent?
Yeah.
All those guys.
Dude, they're selling $10 million properties.
Dressed to the nines, ready to go. Like,
what's your commission on a $10 million property?
Yeah, it is $250,000.
Wear a suit.
Yeah.